All right, welcome. So we are here with another macro millionaire nutrition coach who has her own coaching business, does this all on her own, Valerie Hoagenson, and just amazing. I'm really excited to be here right now to hear her story, why she chose to become a coach, and maybe we'll talk about some client success stories. Who knows where this will take us, but Valerie, welcome. Appreciate you joining.
Yeah, thanks for interviewing me and
Yeah.
giving me the opportunity.
No, absolutely. So let's kind of just start why did you get into nutrition coaching of all things? What made you kind of choose this path?
That's a really, really good question. This is definitely a passion of mine. I get fired up about nutrition so much because growing up in agriculture, I grew up on a dairy farm. So everything, my family, generations back in my family were agriculturists and produced food for our country and all this. So
Right.
I was always around food, and I actually went to school for animal science, and I have a degree in I have a minor in food science because I'm very interested in how food is created and
Yeah.
whatnot, and where it comes from, how it's produced and everything. And yeah, so I grew up just working on my parents' dairy farm and worked my way in through college too. I milked cows and was just kind of always working, to pay bills and everything. And then I landed my career at a large scale egg farm, and I got my dream job. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a large scale poultry farmer. Like they say, if you take care of chickens, you're a chicken tender. I was a chicken tender for real. That was what I did. I managed a bunch of chickens. And I noticed that my body, I didn't know anything about nutrition, needless to say. I just ate cheap food. I ate whatever was easy, convenient, mostly just cheap because I'm all about saving money and paying bills and everything. So I ate a lot of ramen noodles. I remember me and my husband bought a timeshare, and I was telling my husband, I was like, we can afford this because we'll just eat ramen noodles. It'll be okay. And um, so I started at 22 years old at this job that I had, my dream job at this poultry farm. I started noticing just really bad fatigue, back pain. I didn't feel really comfortable in my skin. I was kind of I felt a little overweight, not very good in my own skin. And I started doing yoga, and the people in yoga were all about holistic health, right? So they were, all about nutrition and chiropractic work and that kind of stuff. And I met my chiropractor, and he's like, "Oh girl, yeah, I can adjust your back, but here's he was giving me listing off all these different books about nutrition." And I'm like, nutrition? What? So anyway, I started diving deep into learning about nutrition because I'm I'll do whatever it takes. Cause at 22, why do I feel 90 years old?
Right.
And yeah, so I just learned about nutrition and started implementing it. I remember the first time I went to the grocery store and bought a lot of produce. I felt so proud of myself, and I noticed my skin started changing, my energy changed. I was so much happier at work. I was able to wake up and have productive days at my job just in a few changes in my diet. And I felt I figured out the secret to the universe by having good nutrition. And I started posting about it on my social media, and one of my friends from college reached out to me and asked if I wanted to join a network marketing company that consulted and did things with supplements and shakes, meal replacement shakes and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, that makes sense for me because I really enjoy teaching people about how nutrition helps the body and everything. So for 3 years, I was a part of that and recruited 55 people in that company or into that organization. And I just felt there was some missing links in there. I wanted to help people more. I thought that more accountability would be beneficial. And I wanted to make it to where people could do it without me. I don't know, I just felt there was something missing about what I was doing with that network marketing supplement.
Yeah, totally. That provided the supplement, but you wanted to go to the core,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, definitely. So it was a good transition for me to learn about business too, like having a network marketing company, because I did that on the side of working at this chicken farm.
Yeah.
And then it was March in 2019, I decided to go all in on my holistic health business and like just make it a full-time gig. And so I was teaching yoga. I taught about 6 classes a week. And then I also did Reiki healing. And then I was like, if I can just figure out a way to help people with nutrition, because, people can do yoga all day. People can get Reiki from me all day, but until they really take care of themselves in the kitchen, what I do isn't really going to make a big change in their life. So it was pretty cool. You reached out to me randomly and said, hey, this would be great to add on to your business. And I was like, man, I have like so much going on with my yoga and my Reiki. I was like, I don't really have time, but I myself needed, being a new business owner, I had some stress going on in my life. And I was like, maybe this program would help me get some more energy and maybe lose, 25 pounds or so. And I joined the team with Warrior Fit with Jason, and he taught me about the macros and how many calories I was supposed to be taking in, because I was plant-based, and I thought being plant-based meant that I could eat as much food as I wanted and it didn't matter. Right. But I was still dealing with energy issues, like mental fogginess and weight issues. So I was really confused, like, why are people saying you can be vegan and just eat as much as you want? It doesn't matter. But yet I was still like in this place of like not seeing the good results that I wanted in the gym either too. And mostly just to help myself so I could help more people. So after about 6 months of working with Jason, I lost, I'm consistently down about 20 pounds from when I started, and have more energy than I've ever had. Like just having his accountability in the system, it's just so good. It's good. It's perfect. It's exactly what I needed, because I had some food addiction issues and overeating issues. So this was exactly what I needed. And then it just like made sense for me to like start, offering this coaching that Jason did so well for me to pass on to my clients too, and anybody that would be interested.
Man, that's cool. So, I mean, you saw how you got through the bad fatigue, the maybe some of the binge eating, which my wife and I, we were there too. So totally feel you on that. And it sounds like what your coaching program like does is teach, like educates people. Like you mentioned, like, hey, I was pretty plant-based, and I thought like, hey, I can just eat the farm as long as it was plant-based, where that wasn't it. So what can someone expect? Like if I'm a client and I'm like, you know what, Valerie, I totally get what you're saying. I'm vibing with you. What could they expect when they talk to you about maybe hiring you as a coach or getting into your nutrition plan?
Yeah, they can definitely expect to have daily accountability. Like if stuff doesn't happen exactly the way you plan, like there's always like the rebound, like how are we gonna, what can we do today now? Like moving forward, how can I help you, and how can I assist you or teach you to overcome like binge eating days, or just, kind of adding things that can help with mental clarity and with energy, and just being able to live a good life to where you feel like you have control of your life too.
So you mentioned daily accountability. That's pretty cool. So you're pretty much in touch with your clients. Like I know a lot of people that I know in the industry. I've been in this industry 23 years, and they're like, yeah, I check in with my coach monthly. Like, whoa, monthly? That's a long time to go by. So that's really cool. And then you also mentioned like the accountability, like daily. If I'm reporting to you, I mean, that's going to have a huge effect.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we're eating every day.
Right.
And so often like people are confused by like, what about intermittent fasting? Like, what about like all these different things people hear about and start and stop and yo-yo. And this is just like a long-term plan rather than just one day do this, next day do another.
I love that, because again, it goes back to, like I said, the education. I'm not just like hiring you for your meal plans. And I know you have all those, the meal plans and the workout app and all these awesome tools. That's all good and fine. But I'm really hiring you to know myself and educate myself from you of how I can make this a lifestyle. Because meal plans are great, but they're kind of like a temporary Band-Aid. No one's going to follow a meal plan, or they're going to follow a meal plan until life happens, right? You know, so it sounds like when I'm with you, when life happens, I have a lifestyle that you've kind of educated me on that I can navigate through.
Yes, 100%. And that's what Jason did for me too. Like if I didn't have my meals prepped, I can stop at a convenience store and make a good decision on the fly because of what I've learned from my coach. And I hope to where my clients now too are getting to where they can make good decisions.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. So I know that you're fairly new as a coach, fairly, but is there any client success stories that just kind of like tug at your heart that you just would love to share?
Yeah, definitely. Well, my niche area that I like to work with is other business owners. Like, obviously, I'd help anybody that asks for help, but like, I really have a passion for entrepreneurs, as being one myself.
Yeah.
I had a client tell me about how she was really struggling in her business, and just even after 2 weeks of doing the program with me, she was able to just feel so much more energized, and she was kind of almost in like a depressed state. She had just went through this really bad accident, lost her job and all this stuff. And she was coming out of it and like making progress in her business that was translating to sales and revenue too. So that was really exciting to see. And then another client of mine too said he just felt so stable. Like he felt stable with food, where his relationship with food before that was, he said, never good.
Oh my gosh. Like, I'm going to hire you because, you know, as an entrepreneur, you hit the nail so on the head. I love what you just said as far as, and this can stem to pretty much anyone, a busy mom, a dad, but more productive. That's what I help people with nutrition. And I think people don't really think of that. They think of like, oh, I want to lose weight. I want to look good in the mirror. I want to fit in a size 2, which all that's fine. But I love your focus. Like, hey, I'm going to make you a more productive human being for your kids. How does that sound? A more productive person in business, or like stability. You know, I know from personal experience, like, you know, when I'm eating really inflammatory foods, or we're out on vacation and we're just kind of, going ham, you just don't feel as stable inside. You're like, you know, your microbiome's all wrecked, and, you know, your mood is all over the place. So I love that niche. I really do. That's really cool. I think of all the coaches that I've interviewed, really no one is really focused on, hey, nutrition is great for getting you more productive, getting you more of a stable human, like a foundation. That really resonates with me.
Cool.
So, all right. So how do people contact you? Okay. Like, how do I contact you?
Yeah, get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook. You can find me, like, if you're watching this on Zoom, my name, Valerie Hoagenson, on Facebook. You can just message me there. That's a good place to find me. Also, you can catch me on my email. It's Valerie Hoagenson at holisticwithvalerie.com. And yeah, text 715-299-9137 is my phone number. So
you guys can also go to macromissionary.com, check out her profile. You might be watching this video because it's on her profile, and then click the email me button there as well. So awesome, Valerie, you totally rock. Thank you for letting listeners into your heart and into your home today, and learn more about your program.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Awesome. So Valerie, just kind of briefly, like, you've always, you seem to always been like entrepreneurial based. Like you said, you had a network marketing company. You were very production based. You grew up on a farm, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what got you into like the online coaching? Like what led you to like say, hey, I'm just going to be an online coach. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, you kind of went from like a 180, like farming and everything, to holistic healthcare, yoga, and then now nutritional counseling. What kind of flipped that switch for you?
Yeah, I definitely feel like so many people are on their phone, especially now since the whole pandemic and whatnot. People are on their phone, and there's so much like just not really good news on the social media. So I wanted to shine some light in social media world about, healthy change, holistic change. And also too, I like to travel. So why not, do my business virtually so that I can travel and work from home.
That's my wife's love language is, she does what we do, and she just does it. One of her main motivations is to see her our younger nieces and nephews, and to travel. She just loves to not have to be tied down or have a vacation request signed, or whatever that process looks like. So what led you, why the Macro Millionaire platform?
Oh, it's really good. It's like already like a built-in like good system. It's like the email marketing, email campaigns and stuff like that are expensive. Like I've had them before. They're like $300 a month, and it's already built in.
I know. I always talk to people that don't know, like, texting campaigns and email campaigns, because before we had our business development app, we paid for all that stuff, and it was like, wow. So no, that's cool. That's very cool. So how has it been? I know that you're kind of new in the program. How has it been going? We were kind of talking offline a little bit. We're like, hey, I'm sending 130 messages out a week. How has business been, and how do you feel about your future?
Yeah, dude, it's great. I feel really confident with like my reach outs and lead generation and creating these game plan calls. And it's really neat too. I've never been a part of a organization like Macro Millionaire, where it's like there's 4 Zooms a week that I can jump in. One on Monday nights where you can just like literally like send out messages and like bounce ideas off of other coaches too. Like, hey, this person messaged me this. How am I supposed to reply to this? Or what would be a good response to this to be able to help and add value to this person? And there's just so much good training too. Like so many ideas that I haven't ever even thought about. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And
right.
And it's just like endless. Like I just feel like I'm just getting started with everything.
Yeah. I think, Valerie, that is like one of the most undervalued things in our network, because people really just they don't know it until they experience it, I feel. And I was the same way. Like before I went to my wife was in network marketing, I just didn't get it, and she'd go on all these Zooms, and she'd be on these team meetings, and I just never really got it until I plugged in, and I was like, wow. I mean, we're talking to like doctors and some of the greatest minds out there, and just all like bonding together to try to get each other to succeed. We are all in business for ourselves, but not by ourselves. And so I'm really glad that you mentioned that, because I feel like that's one of the things that keeps me going, is like, hey, we got our Tuesday science call, or our Monday lead reach out, or our Thursday roundtable. I just think there's incredible value to that. So I'm glad that you like that.
Yeah, definitely. And there's so many good resources. Like I haven't even like got into all of what Macro Millionaire has to offer either. Like today I was just going through some of the training videos, and I'm like, this is like, I'm hardly halfway there. And I've been looking at stuff since I started a few months ago.
No, that's cool. Was there any fear, like before you got into the program? Like, I mean, you went from like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this business. Was there any fear, or were you pretty much just like, you know what, I've been a client, I'm going to rock and roll?
So the only fear that is like jumping out to me was like, is this valid for me? I know, like, I'm like, I have to know that works for me. Sure. Before I can like make sure this works for other people. Yeah. And it works, like I said, when I was coaching, that's how I started the whole thing, was just like being a client. And I'm like, if it works for me, if this food addict and overeater and stress eater and binge eater can actually like make this a sustainable life change, then yes, then I'll give it a consideration. And it totally did that for me. And I was sold. Like, I'm like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is like perfect timing for me.
Very, very cool. So if I'm a coach out there, or a potential coach, and I'm watching this, what would be the one piece of of motivation or advice that you would give me if I'm like on the fence? I'm like, I don't know, or I'm scared. What would be the one thing that you would say to that person?
Like, just do it all, like play all in for like 60 days. Play 100% in for 60 days. And if it doesn't work, get your misery back or get your life back or whatever. But like, give it a try, give it a heart, like show up, do your best, ask questions, don't be afraid to fail at, send a lot of messages. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. I love that because, my wife says the same. You go all in for 60 days. She started January out with a 3-week burst, she called it. And it was just all in for 3 weeks. And it just was crazy. Like people around the country were like calling her like, what are you doing? It was really cool. So I love that advice. Well, Valerie, thank you so much for your time, your energy, your advice. This can potentially, or will not potentially, this will change someone's life. This will get a coach to believe in themselves, get in here and do what we do and join our tribe and make us all stronger. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.